The CEO's wife threw me an unlimited black card just so I wouldn't disturb her while she went on dates with her white moonlight. I've always known my place, so that very night I went to a bar, called in 9 pretty girls at once, and indulged myself until 1 a.m. Only then did the CEO's wife send me a voice message asking if I had gotten home. I replied casually, "Yeah, I'm home, about to sleep." Right after that, she ordered me to start a video call. I hurriedly texted back that I wasn't wearing any clothes, but the very next second, she sent me a photo. "Oh, really? The one not wearing clothes is that little model beside you, and if you dare touch her chest again, I'll chop your hand off." I let out a cold, mocking laugh and hung up without hesitation. An ex-wife? What right does she have to control me? A month ago, her white moonlight returned. He immediately proposed a betting contract to me. As long as she abandoned me for him 9 times, he would be the winner. I agreed, because I truly wanted to know whether there was still any place for me in her heart. In the end, I witnessed it with my own eyes. Time and again, she chose him without a second thought, abandoning me every single time. Today was the 9th time. Just because she received a call from Song Jingyan, Lin Xiaoyue once again left me behind on the highway. "Yu Tian, I have something urgent. I have to go first. You can take a taxi home." After saying that, she didn't care that it was pouring rain, nor did she care about my stomach, which was already aching faintly. Without waiting for me to respond, she shoved an umbrella into my hand and drove off decisively. Watching her car disappear into the rain, my heart felt like it was being crushed. I walked alone through the downpour, the soaked shoes rubbing my heels raw until they bled. After 5 hours, I finally made it back to the villa at Tianshui Bay, clutching my spasming stomach as I collapsed at the gate, gasping for breath in unbearable pain. The rain blurred my vision, and through the murky haze, I saw Song Jingyan walking toward me with an umbrella, a cold smile curling at the corner of his lips. "It hurts, doesn't it? Do you regret it now? Did you really think that after all these years, Lin Xiaoyue would have even the slightest feelings for you? But you forgot one thing. The person she loves most is me. Any little bit of affection she might have for you means nothing in front of me." I staggered to my feet, my face pale as ashes. "This is the 9th time. You've won. As you wished, I'll divorce Lin Xiaoyue." Without looking back, I slowly walked into the villa step by step. Once home, I took out the divorce agreement I had prepared since the day of the bet, quickly signed it, and pushed it in front of Song Jingyan. "Take this and have her sign it." Song Jingyan raised his brows slightly, looking somewhat surprised. "Why me?" I replied calmly. "I don't want to waste time explaining why I want a divorce. Only if you give it to her will she sign without hesitation." Hearing that, Song Jingyan accepted the divorce papers with a satisfied look, even offering me a few words of comfort. "Don't be too sad. In a few days, I'll introduce you to a beautiful girl." I nodded. "Sure." Seeing how easily I agreed, a trace of surprise flashed in Song Jingyan's eyes. "You agreed? You're letting go of AUA just like that?" I let out a soft laugh, my voice tinged with bitterness. In this lifetime, I had only ever truly loved one person, yet this was the ending I received. I had given her 9 chances, and she left me with nothing. If I still couldn't let go, then I would truly be too pathetic. From now on, I'll live only for myself. As soon as I finished speaking, the door was pushed open. Lin Xiaoyue had just returned and immediately saw Song Jingyan, freezing in place. "Jingyan, didn't I just take you to the hospital? Why are you here?" Song Jingyan didn't explain his sprained ankle at all, pretending as if nothing had happened. He smiled, picked up the agreement, and walked up to Lin Shuyue. "I'm here to ask you for a small favor. Just sign this." From beginning to end, Lin Shuyue's gaze remained fixed on me. She didn't even glance at the document, casually signing where he pointed. Only after signing did she suddenly remember to ask, "What is this?" Song Jingyan had intended to tell her directly, but for some reason changed his mind. "It's a special gift that Yu Tian and I prepared together. You'll find out in a month. Don't worry, you'll definitely be surprised." Hearing that, Lin Shuyue, who was rarely curious, was about to take a closer look. But Song Jingyan had already swiftly handed the paper back to me and stood up to leave. The next day, at the class reunion, everyone greeted me as soon as they saw me. "Yu Tian, why are you alone? Didn't you bring your wife? Is Shuyue busy with work?" Before I could even open my mouth, Song Jingyan, who was sitting in the middle, spoke up as if casually. "Why, she has a meeting this morning until 11, and in the afternoon she has to negotiate a contract. She definitely doesn't have time." As he spoke, he wore a meaningful smile. Seeing how well Song Jingyan seemed to know her schedule, everyone began teasing, half joking and half serious. It really is true. Only childhood sweethearts understand each other this well, knowing every move of the other like the back of their hand. Song Jingyan lifted his glass, gently swirling it as he smiled and replied, "Not exactly. It's just that Ye drove me home last night and mentioned it in passing." Hearing that, someone immediately sighed. "You two still keep in touch that often. That's what you call a deep bond from childhood to adulthood. Good thing Yu Tian is broad-minded. He's always understood your relationship from start to finish and never minded it at all. Besides, if you had wanted to be with Shuyue, you would have been together long ago. Everyone knows Shuyue only listens to you and has always been devoted to you." Hearing those words, Song Jingyan grew even more smug. "Now that you mention it, it is kind of amusing. Back then I told her to pursue Yu Tian, and she did exactly that. Even the marriage. I had to keep reminding her before she finally agreed to give Yu Tian a proper status. Those who know understand they're in a relationship, but those who don't might think I'm the one forcing her." After hearing this, my heart felt like it was being crushed. I had once believed that Lin Shuyue accepted my proposal because she was moved by my sincerity. But it turned out even this marriage had been orchestrated by Song Jingyan alone. In that instant, my chest tightened, and I could barely breathe. The people in the room continued chatting cheerfully about the topic. Unable to bear it any longer, I stood up and went to the restroom, trying to compose myself. When I returned, they had already started playing a game. Coincidentally, Song Jingyan lost and drew a truth card. Name the person who has pursued you the longest in your life and give a specific example. As soon as the question was asked, my eyelashes trembled slightly and I instinctively looked away. Song Jingyan smiled leisurely, reminisced for a moment, then replied slowly, "There's a girl who's been pursuing me since she was 7 years old. By now it's probably been nearly 20 years, hasn't it? When she was in her teens, she even gave me her family's heirloom, saying she would only love me for the rest of her life. Every time she heard I had a girlfriend, she would drink herself into a stupor day and night. In recent years, while I was studying abroad, she flew over every week just to be with me. Every word he spoke crashed over my heart like a tidal wave, drowning it completely. While I had poured my entire soul into this relationship, Lin Shuyue had never stopped chasing the shadow of her childhood love, and I had been completely unaware. My heart now ached so intensely that I could barely breathe. Everyone in the room was deeply moved, bombarding him with questions. "Who is she exactly? Do we know her? She loves you that much. You must have feelings for her too, right? If you two really get together, I make sure to introduce her to us." Song Jingyan smiled meaningfully, glanced at me, and nodded cheerfully. "Of course. Next month, I'll definitely bring her to meet everyone." Just as he finished speaking, Lin Shuyue pushed the door open with a bright smile. "Who are you introducing that has to wait until next month, Jingyan? Are you done here? Didn't we agree to go to the concert?" The moment her eyes met mine, she froze slightly, a flicker of surprise and panic crossing her face. "Yutian, why are you here?" I suddenly recalled that this morning, Lin Shuyue had said she would be working overtime late into the night and told me not to wait up for her. So her working overtime was actually going to a concert with Song Jingyan? I smiled faintly, my voice calm. "As you can see, I'm attending a class reunion with my college friends." Lin Shuyue nodded repeatedly, then quickly changed the subject. "Then it's perfect. We can go home together." I took out my phone to call a ride and gently refused. "No need. I'll take a taxi. You two go enjoy the concert." After saying that, I walked downstairs. As soon as I reached the roadside, Song Jingyan chased after me. "Already angry? Here, take the concert ticket. After all, you and her only have 1 month left. Make some memories while you can. Otherwise, when you're old and look back, you'll regret it." I replied indifferently, "No need. Once we're divorced, I'll forget the past. There's nothing between me and her worth remembering anymore." He sneered. "Although Ayue was forced by me to be with you at the beginning, you did help me reduce some trouble. If you couldn't get her love, that's one thing. But if you don't even have any memories, wouldn't that make me too cruel?" Just as we were about to leave, neither of us noticed the car speeding toward us from a distance. When the blaring horn sounded, we turned our heads, but it was already too late to dodge. In that critical moment, Lin Shuyue rushed forward and pushed Song Jingyan into a safe area, while I was struck hard by the car, sent flying over 20 meters before crashing heavily onto the ground. A loud impact echoed, and dark red blood spilled from the corner of my mouth as my entire body felt like it was shattering apart. Before slipping into unconsciousness, through the haze of pain, I vaguely saw Lin Shuyue looking anxiously at Song Jingyan. When I finally woke from the agony, uncertain how much time had passed, the first thing I saw was her face, filled with worry. "Yutian, how are you feeling? You've been unconscious for 2 days. Do you know how worried I was?" Looking at her concerned and attentive expression, the scene before I lost consciousness suddenly resurfaced in my mind, leaving a bitter taste. The person she rushed to save in that life and death moment wasn't me. When I lay collapsed in a pool of blood, she didn't even realize how badly I was hurt. Someone like me, who had never truly existed in her heart. How could she genuinely be worried? I let out a soft sigh and spoke hoarsely. "I'm fine. You should go take care of Song Jingyan." Hearing that, Lin Shuyue froze for a moment, thinking I was upset that she hadn't saved me, and quickly explained, "Jingyan is fine, but you're seriously injured. Of course I have to stay here and take care of you." I shook my head slightly, my voice weak with the last of my strength. "I'm tired. Let me rest for a while." She didn't disturb me further, gently tucking the blanket around me, preparing warm water and ordering food. Soon after, she received a call saying there was an urgent matter at the company and left first, promising she would come back. A nurse came in to check the room, and seeing how thoughtfully everything had been arranged, couldn't help but feel envious. "You're really lucky to have married such a good wife." I remained silent. As soon as I turned on my phone, I immediately saw a message from Song Jingyan. "Sorry about that. I was so shaken by the car earlier that I messaged Ayue to come comfort me. She's having a meal with me now. Later, she'll take me out for some fresh air, and tonight we'll go watch a movie. You just rest well in the hospital. Along with the message was a photo of a famous restaurant, the table filled with light, nourishing dishes. On the other side of the lens, only Lin Shuyui's hands were visible. I quietly looked at the picture and replied with just 5 words. Hope you have fun. Over the next week, Lin Shuyui came to the hospital once a day, but each time she stayed for less than 10 minutes before leaving. Meanwhile, Song Jingnian regularly sent messages, updating me in detail about everything the two of them were doing. The difference between being loved and not being loved had never been so clear. I felt even more fortunate that I had agreed to that betting contract. After the final checkup, the doctor handed me a prescription. You're fine now. Have your wife handle the discharge procedures and pick up the medicine. I took the prescription and replied indifferently, I'll handle it myself. She's not my wife. We're divorced. The very next second, the hospital room door swung open and Lin Shuyue walked in, stunned. Divorced? What do you mean? I hadn't expected her to appear so suddenly. I paused for a moment, then calmly corrected myself. It's nothing. I meant you've been busy these days and haven't been at the hospital. Seeing how composed I looked, she didn't suspect anything further and simply explained gently, I've been negotiating a big project, working overtime constantly. I didn't have time to come here. Hearing her lie so casually made my heart grow even colder. If you're that busy, then you don't need to come here anymore. I can take care of myself. I truly meant it, but she thought I was sulking and quickly apologized. It's my fault. Work has settled down now. I'll make time to take care of you. Then she prepared to take me home, and even had her assistant bring over a pile of expensive custom models for me to choose from. Looking at the heap of luxury items, I refused without hesitation. I've never liked these things. The one who likes them is someone else. Hearing that, she hurriedly told them to prepare something else. Then what do you like? Watches, supercars, anything. Just tell me, I'll buy it for you. Her words stirred nothing in me. For the past 3 years, on every anniversary or holiday, where she had sent countless gifts, identical pieces of luxury that filled the walk-in closet like the inventory of a high-end boutique. I used to think it was love, so even if I didn't like them, I accepted them happily. But today, realizing she didn't even know what I truly liked, I finally understood. She simply couldn't be bothered to learn, so she chose the most expensive things, assuming the price guaranteed she wouldn't go wrong. So this time I refused outright. I don't need any of it, and in the future don't give me anything anymore. There's no need for you to go to all that trouble. This was the first time she had ever heard me say something like that, and a trace of panic flickered in her eyes. You're my husband. Giving you gifts is only natural. How could that be troublesome? It sounded almost ridiculous. What she didn't know was that I had already signed the divorce papers long ago. These past few days, Lin Shuyue stayed at home and didn't go anywhere, while I gradually packed up my belongings, clothes I no longer wore, the curtains in the house, even the matching couple mugs. Seeing me suddenly tidying up so many things, she was momentarily stunned. Just as she was about to ask, Song Jingnian called. She immediately pushed the matter aside, hurried to answer, and quickly went out. I glanced at the screen and knew she had gone to meet him again. Only after she had completely left did I throw all those things into the trash. By dawn the next day, Lin Shuyui still hadn't returned. She only sent a brief message saying she would be on a business trip for a week. Not long after, Song Jingnian sent another photo of the two of them happily having dinner together, along with a message. Yue said she wants to go abroad with me for a few days. I replied with just one word. Okay. Taking advantage of this time, I finished packing my luggage and also made a detailed travel plan. Once everything was ready, I booked a flight back to my hometown. The airline called to confirm my itinerary, and I carefully listened while repeating the date and time clearly. "Where are you going?" Lin Shuyui's voice suddenly rang out behind me. Startled, I turned around and realized she had returned at some point. Avoiding her questioning gaze, I answered calmly, "I'm going back to my hometown to visit my parents." Hearing that, she simply nodded gently without asking further, then took out a delicately wrapped gift box. "You said before that you didn't like those models, so this time I chose a watch for you. See if you like it." I casually opened the box, glanced at it, then set it down calmly. "Do I like it?" Seeing my indifferent reaction, Lin Shuyue couldn't help but feel surprised. She stepped closer, gently took my hand, her voice full of concern. "What's wrong with you lately? I was away on a business trip for so long and you didn't send me a single message. Are you in a bad mood?" When I remained silent, she became even more certain that I was upset. She tiptoed, intending to kiss me, but this time I unexpectedly pushed her away and turned coldly toward the bathroom. "I'm not feeling well today. I'm not in the mood. Maybe another time." Watching my back, Lin Shuyue was momentarily stunned. Thinking to herself that my stomach issues must still not have recovered after all this time. The following evening, she said she had prepared a surprise for me and took me to a restaurant. As soon as the door to the top-floor VIP room opened, I saw it filled with flowers and candles, and my gaze flickered slightly. Lin Shuyue smiled gently. "Yu Tian, do you like it?" I paused for a few seconds, then nodded lightly and sat down. She ordered a table full of dishes I liked and even thoughtfully peeled shrimp and crab for me herself. Throughout the evening, she kept the conversation going, even bringing up memories from when we had first started dating. "Do you remember? Back when we first got together, you used to walk me to school every day. And the teachers even called us in to ask what our relationship was." Faced with this sudden gentleness, I felt deeply unaccustomed and finally asked, "What's gotten into you today?" "It's just that I've noticed you've been down lately, so I wanted to cheer you up." At that very moment, the door was suddenly pushed open. Song Jingnian rushed in with a group of people, and someone kept snapping photos nonstop. "Yu Tian, are you satisfied with tonight's date? This is the surprise I personally prepared. Touching, isn't it?" Hearing the smug tone in Song Jingnian's voice, I turned to look straight at Lin Shuyue, my voice trembling as I asked, "Was this arranged by you?" Lin Shuyue didn't notice the change in my voice. She simply shook her head lightly and smiled at Song Jingnian. It was Jingnian's idea." "What's wrong?" Song Jingnian laughed cheerfully. "That's right. I heard from Yue that today is your wedding anniversary, so I came up with this plan. The flowers, candles, food, even the fireworks. I chose everything, guaranteed to give you an unforgettable night." "Oh, right. Did you get the watch? I picked it out very carefully. You like it, don't you?" So everything had been orchestrated by Song Jingnian all along. No wonder Lin Shuyue had been so unusually attentive. In that moment, memories from our college days suddenly resurfaced. Song Jingnian had done everything he could back then to bring us together. Listening to the people around me, praising how thoughtfully he had arranged everything, all I felt was a deep sense of helplessness. Everything he had done was just to prove one thing. From beginning to end, what existed between Lin Shuyu and me had always been under his control. I could only passively accept it. And Lin Shuye had willingly, obediently gone along with it. I couldn't take it anymore. I immediately stood up and quickly walked downstairs. But before I could get far, Song Jingnian caught up and called out to me. "What's wrong? Not happy? A romantic dinner like this to end your relationship? Surely it'll leave an unforgettable mark on your life. He handed me a few photos. These are for you, as souvenirs. I lowered my head and looked at the pictures. In them, behind Lin Shuyue were dazzling heart-shaped fireworks. She was holding my arm, appearing intimate, but with just one glance. I could tell her eyes weren't on the camera. They were fixed on Song Jingyan. I didn't take the photos. I simply looked at the man in front of me, my voice filled with exhaustion. I've already signed the divorce papers and am ready to give her back to you. What's the point of all this? Isn't it interesting? I thought you'd be touched. If you don't like it, I won't do it again. After all, there won't be another chance. Song Jingyan smiled and turned to leave, but at that very moment, the massive chandelier on the ceiling suddenly broke loose and came crashing down on both of us. Instinctively, I raised my arms to shield my head, and in that instant, I saw Lin Shuyue rushing toward us. The heavy chandelier slammed me to the ground, a painful sound escaping my throat. Trembling, I tried to call for help, only to see Song Jingyan crying as he supported Lin Shuyue, who was also covered in blood. Yue, why are you so foolish? My head grew increasingly dizzy, my vision blurred, and I finally lost consciousness completely. When I woke up, the first person I saw was Song Jingyan. He placed a birthday invitation on the table and said softly, "In 6 days, it'll be the final day of the divorce cooling-off period between you and Yue, and also her birthday. I plan to confess to her that day. Yue likes me so much. She'll definitely be happy to receive such a surprise. Her head injury is minor. I'll take good care of her over the next few days. If you want to take this time to see her, I can move you to the room next door." I closed my eyes, my voice calm as still water. "No need. The person she wants to see most right now is you. I don't want to see her anymore either." Song Jingyan nodded and left. During my final days in the hospital, Lin Shuyue called and messaged me several times, but I didn't respond to any of them. As soon as I was discharged, I immediately went to get the divorce certificate. Then I returned home, placed the divorce certificate and the signed agreement into a gift box and tied it with a ribbon. Just as I pulled my suitcase, ready to leave, I happened to run into Lin Shuyue coming home. Seeing me with a suitcase, she looked a little surprised. "Today is my birthday. I was just about to take you to the party. Where are you going?" I calmly lied without hesitation. "I have to go back to my hometown urgently. My flight is today." I turned back to pick up the gift box from the table. "I prepared a birthday present for you. Happy birthday. I have to go now or I'll miss my flight." After saying that, I didn't even bother to look at her reaction. I walked straight out the door and called a car to the airport. Watching my hurried figure disappear, Lin Shuyue suddenly felt her heart grow uneasy for no reason, a deep sense of restlessness rising within her. Instinctively, she wanted to call me back and ask me to change my flight, at least to stay until after her birthday party. But just as she took a step forward, Song Jingyan called. "Yue, the birthday party is about to start. Why aren't you here yet? I've prepared this party for a long time, and there's a special surprise for you." After hesitating for a moment, she ultimately chose to drive away, casually tossing the gift box I had given her into the car without even opening it. When the doors of the banquet hall opened, it was lively and bustling inside, with people raising their glasses in celebration. As soon as she appeared, Song Jingyan quickly walked over to greet her. "Yue, you're here." Lin Shuyue nodded gently. "Didn't you say you had a surprise for me?" Song Jingyan smiled mysteriously. "Yue, you're definitely going to like this gift." With that, he stepped onto the stage, took the microphone, and his clear voice echoed throughout the hall. "Thank you all for coming to celebrate Yue's birthday. Today is a special day. Not only is it her birthday, but I also have 2 pieces of good news. First, congratulations to AUA on officially getting divorced, leaving the past behind and starting a new future. Second, I will officially confess my feelings to AUA here today. AUA, you've liked me for so many years. I've always been careless with your feelings. But today, I've made up my mind. From now on, we will be together forever. The soft, warm lights shone down on Song Jingyan as if draping him in a radiant halo. He gazed deeply into Lin Shuyu's eyes, his expression filled with emotion and sincerity as he spoke softly. All this time, you've been like a little sun in my life, quietly accompanying me, silently protecting me. Every moment with you has been like shining stars adorning the sky of my memories. I once thought that warmth was something natural, but only now do I realize it was your entire sincere heart building a peaceful haven for me. Lin Shuyue froze for a moment, her mind completely blank. Before she could react, Song Jingnian had already taken the microphone and stepped closer, gently holding her hand as he continued. Why, I've traveled through countless beautiful landscapes, but the most beautiful picture I've ever found is in your eyes. I've heard endless words, but the warmest strength I've ever felt lies in your care. From today on, I don't want you to follow behind me in silence anymore. I want to stand beside you and walk through every season together, witnessing every scene. Will you walk into every moment of the future with me? You and Yu Tian are already divorced. For so many years, you've always been behind me, no matter what, always by my side. I know you truly love me. And now, I don't want you to keep chasing after me anymore because I've decided to stay by your side. Yue, do you like this surprise? This is my birthday gift to you. Stay with me forever. Lin Shuya stood there in a daze, seemingly unable to process everything at once. Seeing her stunned, Song Jingnian assumed she was simply overwhelmed with happiness and gently called out, Yue. Though full of confusion, faced with the lively atmosphere of the entire hall, she couldn't ask any questions clearly. She forced herself to remain composed and responded with a smile. Thank you for preparing all of this. I'm very touched. Even though she didn't give a clear answer, everyone present knew well how much Lin Shuyue had done for Song Jingnian over the years. They all understood that the two had long been together. It just hadn't been made public because of her marriage. Now that the divorce was finalized, and with such a grand announcement, everyone happily offered their congratulations. Congratulations, AUA, for finally being with the one you love. Congratulations, President Song, and on finally finding your perfect match. Those congratulatory words made something so wrong, so full of betrayal, seem beautiful beyond measure. No wonder Yu Tian didn't come. A few people felt indignant on my behalf, but those faint voices were completely drowned out by the overwhelming chorus of celebration. The party lasted late into the night. Song Jingnian, in high spirits, drank a few more glasses and ended up drunk, wrapping his arm around Lin Shuyu's waist as he kept whispering sweet confessions. Lin Shuyue had no mind left to think about anything else and could only take him home. After settling him to sleep, she finally returned. Looking at the dark, silent house, she then remembered that I had already left for my hometown. Lin Shuyue didn't believe I would truly leave her, also because she knew how deeply I had loved her, just like how she had spent all these years chasing after Song Jingnian. I had once been the same toward her. Thinking back to that morning before I left, when I had even thoughtfully prepared her birthday gift, Lin Shuyue believed I was just sulking, wanting her to coax me. She thought to herself that she had indeed been too focused on Song Jingnian lately and had neglected me. When I came back, she would definitely make it up to me. Thinking that, she hurriedly called me despite the late hour. but no matter how many times she tried, there was no answer. Unwilling to give up, Lin Shuyue sent me messages only to receive red exclamation marks, notifications that her messages had been rejected. Irritation began to rise within her. Could it be that he didn't know how to explain himself, so he simply disappeared? Or did he expect her to take the initiative to go find him? As the soft light spread across the living room, Lin Shuyue brought the gift box in from the garage. Her fingers paused lightly on the dark blue velvet surface. Running her hand over the still unopened wrapping paper, she couldn't guess what was inside. In the past, every gift I gave her had been handed over directly, never wrapped so carefully like this. This was the first time it had been prepared so meticulously. Thinking of that, she couldn't suppress a trace of curiosity. Just then, her phone vibrated, and Song Jingnian's name flashed on the screen, breaking the silence. His voice, hazy with drunkenness, came through. Yue, where did you go? I feel terrible. Why aren't you here with me?" Hearing his voice, Lin Shuyue immediately stopped opening the gift and instinctively softened her tone. "I'm at home. Are you not feeling well?" She put down the gift box, held the phone in one hand, grabbed her coat with the other, picked up her car keys, and hurried out. "I'm coming right now. Be good and wait for me." By the time she arrived at Song Jingyan's house, dawn was already breaking. Yue, my confession wasn't just a moment of impulse. You're my girlfriend now. Don't you want to do something with your boyfriend?" As he spoke, Song Jingyan pulled her hand and placed it on his abs, his voice full of temptation. "That's not it," Lin Shuyue interrupted seriously. "What I want to ask is, when exactly did Yu Tian divorce me? And right now, I can't contact him at all." "Yue, I thought your mind would be filled with nothing but happiness now that we're finally together. I completely belong to you now. Why still care about someone who's no longer important?" There was a trace of displeasure in Song Jingyan's voice. Hearing this, an indescribable unease suddenly rose in Lin Shuyu's heart. "How do you know about this?" "He texted me himself. He even sent a photo of the divorce certificate. I thought you were just too eager to be with me, so you divorced him. Yesterday was your birthday, and he didn't even show up. Yet you're still thinking about the divorce papers?" "I divorced him?" Lin Shuyue froze in shock. Somehow she had been declared divorced without even knowing, and was now being saddled with a bad reputation for no reason. Over the years, she had clearly had some feelings for me. In her heart, whenever something happened between her and Song Jingnian, it was always me who stayed by her side. It was only because Jingnian had just returned to the country that she had spent more time taking care of him. And yet now, Yu Tian wanted to divorce her. Seeing her pale expression, Song Jingnian immediately shifted all the blame onto me. It was him. He forced me. He said if I didn't help him, he'd spread rumors in our college group and ruin my reputation. "Did he really say that?" Lin Shuyue asked in disbelief. The Yu Tian she knew had always been gentle, considerate, and tactful in dealing with people. How could he do something like that? "You don't believe me?" "It's not that I don't believe you. I just didn't expect him to do something like that to you. Weren't you two best friends since college?" "Best friends? Don't joke." "He's always been jealous of me. If he hadn't said he liked you and asked me to introduce Xiaoruyan to him, I would never have introduced you to him in the first place." "He introduced Xiaoruyan to you?" Lin Shuyue was completely thrown off track. Seeing his plan working, Song Jingnian didn't hesitate to smear my image further in her eyes. He absolutely wouldn't allow her to retain even the slightest lingering attachment to me. "That's right. He introduced Xiaoruyan to me, then forced me to introduce you to him. If I hadn't done that, he would have instigated Xiaoruyan to break up with me. Back then, I was deceived by him, so I couldn't clearly see my own feelings." At this moment, I was basking in the gentle sunlight that spread across the colorful land of Yunnan. In my eyes, although there was still a trace of pain left from the broken marriage, what filled me more was hope and anticipation for a new life. Right after ending that failed relationship, I set foot in this mysterious and peaceful place. My first stop was Kunming, known as the Spring City. I was welcomed by warm sunshine and a dazzling array of blooming flowers. I strolled leisurely along the small streets, a gentle breeze brushing through my hair. The flowers by the roadside swayed vividly in the wind, while sunlight filtered through the leaves, casting scattered patches of light and shadow, as if I were standing inside a beautiful painting. I visited Kunming World Horticultural Expo Garden, where each exhibition hall had its own unique charm. Inside the vast greenhouse, countless rare plants from different regions left me in awe of nature's wonders. In the international pavilions, the distinctive cultures of various countries came together, as if carrying me through time to experience the richness of the world. For so many years, my life had revolved entirely around Lin Shuyu. It had been a long time since I allowed myself to relax like this. Taking advantage of the divorce, I decided to travel across the country. My first stop was this poetic land of Yunnan. Back when we were together, I had suggested many times that we come here, to stroll through the ancient streets of Dali Ancient City and feel the gentle breeze from Erhai Lake. But every time she said she was busy. Only later did I realize that her busy schedule was actually spent accompanying Song Jingyan on trips abroad. Next, I traveled to Stone Forest. The moment I stepped in, it felt like entering a kingdom of stone. Each formation came in countless shapes, some like proud soldiers standing tall, some like graceful fairies dancing, others resembling adorable animals. I wandered through the stone forest, gently touching the surfaces shaped by time, imagining the stories behind them. When the guide told the legend of Ashi and Ehe, I couldn't help but feel moved, as if I could see the resilience of a young couple bravely resisting the forces of the past. Leaving the stone forest, I continued on to Dali. Step by step, I walked along the ancient bluestone streets. A clear, crisp sound rang out as if telling an ancient story. The small shops along the road displayed all kinds of exquisite items, from colorful crystals to delicate handicrafts. I strolled leisurely, my thoughts gradually sinking into this peaceful yet beautiful world. When I arrived at Erhai Lake, the distant mountain ranges stretched endlessly, merging with the deep blue water like a poetic painting. The lake was as clear as a giant mirror, reflecting everything around it. Under the sunlight, the rippling waves shimmered so beautifully it took my breath away. I rented a bicycle and rode along the lakeside. The gentle breeze carried the fresh scent of the water, softly brushing against my face and bringing a deep sense of calm. In the distance, Kangshan Mountain stood tall and majestic, its peaks wrapped in drifting white clouds like a realm of immortals. As spring arrived, the water turned crystal clear, reflecting brilliant light. Flowers bloomed in vibrant colors all around, while butterflies danced freely among them like a graceful performance. I closed my eyes, quietly immersing myself in the tranquility and wondrous beauty of nature, as if becoming one with the rolling mountains and the gentle waters. Then I took a deep breath, trying to fill myself with the fresh air, though a faint mist of lingering sadness still remained in my heart. I shouldn't have lost my freedom for someone who wasn't worth it. For so many years, I had lived in one place, doing nothing but waiting for someone else's love. Looking back at myself, I quietly sat on a bench by the lake, gazing at the calm surface. A small boat swayed gently with the waves, little by little soothing my restless heart. As the sun began to set, the twilight dyed the sky like a breathtaking painting. I quietly walked along the shore of Air-High Lake, the stones beneath my feet now glowing golden under the sunset. My shadow stretched long within that radiant light, as if this was the new chapter fate had already written for me. The story of Lin Shuyi and Song Jingnian had now become the past. Those memories seemed covered in a thin layer of dust, gradually turning distant and blurred. At last, I arrived in Lijiang. The lively Sifang Street bustled with energy. Every corner along the roads was exquisitely decorated with various handicrafts and gleaming jade. I wandered leisurely through the ancient streets, quietly admiring each delicate piece of craftsmanship, deeply feeling the vibrant and powerful local traditions. Elderly people dressed in traditional clothing danced in circles, their faces lit with warm, genuine smiles. The young women were no different, swept up in the joy, moving gracefully to the rhythm of traditional music. At night, the ancient town glowed brilliantly with lights, their reflections shimmering across the flowing river, creating a dreamlike scene. I chose a small riverside tavern, sitting quietly as I listened to melodic singing and tasted the local wine, my heart filled with happiness and contentment. It had been a long time since I thought of Lin Shuyi and Song Jingnian, and that was a good thing. After a few drinks, I suddenly felt a surge of excitement and decided to go out for a walk. As I approached a small courtyard, a light drizzle began to fall. I stood beneath a wooden doorway, the warmth of wine flowing through my veins, my steps swaying gently along the bluestone path. The scene around me blended into something hazy and poetic. It's like a dream bathed in moonlight. I raised my hand to wipe away the raindrops at the corners of my eyes. There was a slight chill, yet it also stirred the lingering warmth of the wine within me. At the corner of the street, an orange wall lamp suddenly lit up. The gate was entwined with blooming vines, adding a quiet charm to the small garden. The signboard beside it had been washed clean by the rain, gleaming faintly. I hesitated for a moment before pushing the door open, hearing the soft clink of porcelain as hydrangeas brushed gently behind it. "Yu Tian, do you need a towel?" The gentle voice of a woman startled me, making me step back half a pace. Then a delicate hand was extended toward me. Beneath the eaves, where the curtain was only half drawn, she sat on a light wicker chair dressed in a simple, plain-colored outfit. Her fingers rested on a pale blue porcelain cup, and in the dim light, her features seemed to unfold like ink spreading in water, reminding me of the blue and white porcelain from the Song dynasty displayed in museums. "How do you know my name?" I asked, gripping the corner of my rain-soaked clothes as a breeze brushed through my hair. Shen Meng gave a soft cough, trying to sit up straighter. Her sleeve slipped slightly, revealing a slender wrist so delicate that the veins beneath her skin were faintly visible. "At the freshman welcoming party back in college, I saw you play the drums. It was incredible." Her fingers nervously tightened around the fabric of her clothes. "You looked so full of life back then. It's hard to forget." After she finished speaking, her face flushed slightly, like a rose blooming in the morning light. Only then did I realize just how red her cheeks had become. A clear stream flowed beneath the cascading vines, dripping softly into the courtyard, turning the still wet, ink-like shadows into rippling rings of deep gray that stood out against the quiet of the night. In the darkness, Shen Mengjiao seemed almost like a captivating fox, making it impossible for me to look away from her strange allure. I took the towel from her hand. Only after sitting down inside the room did I suddenly become aware of how unusual it felt, being alone in the room of someone who was completely a stranger. The air was silent, with faint breaths drifting through the space. Feeling awkward, I asked casually, "Were you also a student at that university?" "I used to study there, but in my 3rd year I was in a car accident. Since then, oh, around this time every year I come here for a few days to recover." Noticing my unease, Shen Mengjiao instinctively added a bit more, as if trying to ease the tension. "A car accident?" I thought to myself. No wonder she carried such a fragile, delicate aura, like someone constantly unwell. Shen Mengjiao was quietly pleased that I didn't recognize her. In truth, she had kept me in her heart for many years. Only after I fell in love and got married did she finally stop watching me from afar. After I returned to my lodging, Shen Mengjiao immediately took out her phone and called her assistant, asking them to investigate why I had come to Lijiang alone this time. Back in her small house, she tossed and turned, unable to sleep. She was no longer as calm and composed as she had been in front of me. She even had to struggle to steady her racing heartbeat. Her phone suddenly chimed with a notification. After reading the message from her assistant, Shen Mengjiao couldn't help but curl her lips into a faint smile. It turned out that a few days ago, at Lin Shuyui's birthday party, her childhood sweetheart had publicly announced my divorce from Lin Shuyu and even confessed to her on the spot. As for the exact details, she would have to wait until tomorrow to know more clearly. But just the news of my divorce alone was enough to make her feel that this was a heaven-sent opportunity. It had been a long time since she had received such good news. I hadn't dreamed in a long time, yet that night I unexpectedly did. I dreamed of myself back then. Before I had ever met Lin Shuyue, how carefree life had been. Once, while lining up to buy food in the cafeteria, I realized I had lost my meal card and my phone had run out of battery. I was flustered and didn't know what to do when a slender, fair, beautiful hand gently handed over a card to pay for me. I had always had a certain fascination with beautiful hands, and when I saw that one, I couldn't help but be momentarily stunned. By the time I snapped out of it and turned to thank the person, I could only see their figure disappearing into the distance. Waking from the dream, I suddenly thought of the gentle hand that had offered me a towel the night before, Shen Mengjiao's hand. It was just as beautiful. Without realizing it, my face flushed. I embarrassed that I was already thinking such wandering thoughts about a girl I had only met once. Feeling slightly ashamed, I shook my head as if trying to scatter those chaotic thoughts, then lightly slapped my cheeks to regain composure before pushing the door open and stepping outside. The sky outside was clear and cloudless, the air carrying a soft, pleasant floral scent. It was another beautiful sunny day. I strolled leisurely along the still quiet street, my heart calm and at ease. What a coincidence! A gentle voice suddenly rang out, startling me. Just this morning I had been thinking about her. Funny how the moment you think of someone, they appear right in front of you. What a coincidence. You're out for a walk, too. The moment the words left my mouth, I realized how silly the question sounded. It was too late to take it back, so I could only give an awkward smile to cover it up. Seeing me say just a few words before hurrying off, Shen Mengjiao couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. But when, for the 3rd time, I saw her, coincidentally, walking toward me from the opposite direction, I couldn't help but find it amusing. Silently, I counted down in my head. 3, 2, 1. What a coincidence, Shen Mengjiao said again, her voice full of surprise. Just as expected. This was already the 3rd time we had run into each other today. I smiled at her as she stood there awkwardly, looking both a little foolish and incredibly cute. Why don't we just walk together? I suggested casually, helping her out of her embarrassment. Sure, she agreed happily, secretly celebrating the success of her little plan. All that effort staying up late last night searching for romance strategies hadn't been in vain after all. Even if it was a bit embarrassing to have her clumsy intentions exposed, as long as she could win over the man she liked, what did a little embarrassment matter? With Shen Mengjiao's company, that day became unexpectedly joyful for me, making up for the regret of not having taken many good photos over the past few days. She took on the role of photographer, busy the entire day, yet completely satisfied. Because at last, she was able to spend time with the person she had secretly liked for so long. Meanwhile, after days of non-stop overtime handling work, Lin Shuyue finally settled everything at the company and deliberately cleared an entire month to travel with Song Jingyan. Hearing this, my Song Jingyan was overjoyed and immediately invited her over for dinner. When Lin Shuyue returned to the house that once belonged to the two of us, her gaze fell on the unopened gift box in the living room. After a moment's hesitation, she finally decided to open it. The moment she saw what was inside, her expression darkened instantly. A divorce certificate and the signed agreement. What a wonderful birthday gift. She tossed the box aside and walked into the bedroom to pack her things. Only then did she suddenly realize everything that belonged to me in that house had completely disappeared. More than half of the wardrobe was empty. The photo by the bedside was gone, and even the personal items in the bathroom had all been taken away. Very well, Yu Tian. Just because I've been spending more time with Jingnian lately. Wait, you leave just like that? Back then, you said you loved me more than life itself. Was it all a lie? Or was Jingnian right? Was your love nothing but a shallow, insincere act? For some reason, although Lin Shuyue had initially been furious, the moment she realized that I had truly left without any intention of returning, a strange, indescribable feeling swept through her heart, like something pressing down on her chest, making it hard to breathe. The person she had loved all these years had always been Jingnian. I was nothing more than a substitute. Lin Shuyue kept telling herself this over and over, trying to suppress the uneasiness rising within her. That night, weighed down by her gloomy mood, she drank quite a lot at dinner. Under Song Jingnian's gentle persuasion, she eventually gave in and lost herself in passion with him. Yet, as she watched him sleep soundly while holding her, even though she had finally gained the bright moon of her youth, she felt an inexplicable emptiness deep inside. My figure kept resurfacing in her mind, lingering restlessly. The next day, when Song Jingnian picked up the plane tickets to Yunnan, he casually asked, "Xiao Yue, why did you suddenly choose Yunnan as our first destination?" Looking at the ticket in her hand, Lin Shuyue instinctively recalled the past. I had mentioned countless times wanting to travel to Yunnan with her, but every time she had refused, claiming she was too busy with work. They had been married for so long, yet they had never even had a honeymoon. And now, for some reason, the moment she planned a trip with Song Jingnian, she had immediately chosen Yunnan. Seeing her staring blankly at the ticket, Song Jingnian gently touched her hand. "What's wrong with you? You've been so distracted lately. What's on your mind?" Startled back to her senses, Lin Shuyue forced a soft smile. "It's nothing. I was just thinking about whether there's anything we should adjust in our travel itinerary." She said that, but deep down, she couldn't stop herself from unconsciously comparing me with the man standing before her. On a bright, sunny day, Lin Shuyue and Song Jingnian set foot in the mysterious and enchanting land of Yunnan. Ancient stone-paved streets stretched in every direction, still carrying traces of the morning dew. My wool coat was in Shen Mengjiao's hands. She lowered her head slightly, gently adjusting my collar, when suddenly the sound of glass shattering rang out behind us. A familiar scent of cedarwood mixed with a faint trace of plum wine drifted through the air with the breeze. Instinctively, I turned around and saw Lin Shuyue holding on to Song Jingyan's arm. The two of them were strolling intimately together. The wounds I thought had already faded suddenly became as vivid as if they had happened just yesterday. My eyes were immediately drawn to the gleaming platinum couple ring on her ring finger. I suddenly recalled how, throughout all our years of marriage, she had never once been willing to wear a wedding ring. So it wasn't that she disliked wearing rings, she simply didn't want to wear one with me. It wasn't that she lacked the time to travel either. She had just never wanted to spend that time with me. I forced down the urge to leave immediately, maintaining as much composure as I could, of pretending to speak to them calmly. But at that moment, Shen Mengjiao gently took my hand. That unconscious gesture caused Lin Shuyue's gaze to turn cold in an instant. It's only been a month, and you've already learned how to find yourself a lover in an old town. She deliberately emphasized the word lover, both to belittle Shen Mengjiao and to attack me. A lover? Shen Mengjiao replied calmly. I don't think that's the right word. She gently lifted my hand, brushing over the red string bracelet on my wrist, the one she had carefully woven the night before from 18 sachets, wishing for my safety. After all, you two are already divorced, aren't you? The moment Shen Mengjiao saw Lin Shuyue, she remembered everything her assistant had uncovered earlier. Each detail had made her indignant. What kind of person abandons their husband in the middle of the road just to chase after some so-called white moonlight? Before, she had no right to interfere, but now that we were divorced, what right did Lin Shuyue have to come here and act like this? I lifted my head and looked at the couple in front of me, their intimate, happy appearance almost blinding. The woman who once complained that strolling through streets was tiring was now obediently following every step of Song Jingyan. I wasn't aware of this divorce, Lin Shuyue said coldly, so it doesn't count. When Lin Shuyue heard someone mention her being divorced, her face flushed red with anger. So you've already found your second spring, huh? Aren't you going to introduce her? Song Jingyan, who had remained silent the entire time, finally spoke, his gaze falling on Shen Mengjiao. Seeing that her presence and elegance were no less than Lin Shuyue's, he couldn't help but feel a surge of discomfort. Just someone who picked up a discarded prize from my trash. What right does she have to be introduced? By now, my mood had improved considerably. I had no interest in continuing this pointless entanglement with the two of them. The divorce is official, black and white on paper, with the civil affairs seal still stamped on it. Just because you say it doesn't count doesn't mean it doesn't. Try using your brain for once. I've suffered enough by your side, and even after the divorce, I still have to listen to this nonsense. There's nothing more unlucky than that. My blunt, unapologetic words left Lin Shuyue frozen in place. Since when did you become so unreasonable and vulgar? When Jinian told me, I didn't believe it. But now that I've seen it with my own eyes, turns out you're not a good person either. You must have bullied Jinian a lot before, didn't you? Bullied him? I couldn't help but laugh out loud. That's rich. Song Jinian, did I ever bully you? Caught off guard by my direct question, Song Jingyan immediately flushed with embarrassment. With a guilty conscience, he naturally didn't dare confront me head-on. After all, everything he had said was nothing but baseless fabrication. He turned to Lin Shuyue, gently taking her hand. Xiao Yue, let's go. It seems Yu Tian doesn't really welcome us. His temper has always been like this. You'll have to be more understanding of him. As he spoke, he deliberately shot me a provocative glance. a faint smirk playing on his lips as if trying to provoke me. In front of me, he pretended to be put in a difficult position while acting like he always cared about his friends. Hearing this, Lin Shuyue immediately softened, her voice filled with sympathy. "Jingnian, you're always too kind." Shen Mengjiao ignored Song Jinian entirely and simply turned to me, speaking gently. "Let's go too." I knew very well she was deliberately helping me out of the situation. For the first time in his life, having lost face like this, Song Jingnian stood there furious, his expression darkening. He had always been the one showing off in front of me. When had he ever been humiliated like this? Lin Shuyue watched the two of us leave, her expression extremely unpleasant, completely failing to notice the fleeting trace of malice in Song Jingnian's eyes. After getting away from the two people who made me uncomfortable, I quickly let go of Shen Mengjiao's hand and said somewhat awkwardly, "Thank you for helping me just now." Seeing my slightly unnatural reaction, Shen Mengjiao felt a faint sense of disappointment, but she knew she had to keep trying. Running into Lin Shuyu today made her suddenly lose the desire to keep using a slow, subtle approach. She wanted a clear identity, one that would allow her to stand openly by my side, to protect me and walk with me. I wasn't a fool. During the time we had spent together, I had clearly felt Shen Mengjiao's feelings for me. In this world, no one treats someone so well without reason. At first, I had thought about rejecting her outright, but she always kept things lighthearted, joking and smiling, never seriously bringing it up, leaving me with no chance to refuse directly. Over time, I found myself unable to push her away as coldly as before. It wasn't that I had no feelings for her, it was just that everything was happening too quickly. I still needed more time. I wanted to take things slowly, to gradually accept it. That was why I had allowed her to step into my life little by little. At that moment, feeling that I wasn't mentally prepared yet, I hurriedly tried to change the subject. "Shall we go eat something? We've been walking all day. I'm getting hungry." Noticing that I was deliberately avoiding the topic, Shen Mengjiao felt a sharp pang in her heart. But she wasn't the kind of person to drag things out. Once she had decided to be honest about her feelings, she would follow through to the end. She had already missed her chance with me for so many years. This time, she absolutely didn't want to miss it again. She truly wanted to be by my side. "I like you." Hearing her sincere confession, I froze on the spot. Seeing my silence, she continued softly. "From the very first time I saw you at the freshman welcome party, I already liked you. I originally wanted to approach you back then, but my family suddenly handed the company over to me to manage. I was busy the whole time, and by the time I finally finished, someone else was already by your side. I once thought that love in college wouldn't last long, so I quietly waited for the two of you to break up. But I never expected you would agree to Lin Shuyu's proposal. The way you looked at her back then, it was so full of passion that I could only step back in silence. Well, I told myself that it was fine. As long as you were happy, that was enough. So after you got married, I tried my best not to pay attention to your life anymore. But this time, you suddenly appeared in my world again. When I found out you were divorced, I was so happy. That's why I stayed by your side all this time, pretending not to notice your attempts to push me away, just so I could continue being close to you. At first, I thought it would be enough just to be your friend, to stand beside you as a friend so you could at least see me. But people are greedy, aren't they? Now I want more than that. I don't want to stay by your side forever as just a friend. I want a clear place in your life, a place where I can stand beside you openly. I really like you. I love you. Shen Mengjiao wasn't entirely honest. In truth, from the very beginning, she had never intended to stay by my side as just a friend. Even after learning that I had gotten married, she had never thought about letting go. She had even secretly planned ways to break my marriage apart. If not for the accident back then that left her in poor health, she might have acted long ago. This time, Song Jingnian's appearance had led to my divorce. It was as if fate itself was helping her. Even though she knew that what she was doing now could be seen as taking advantage of the situation, what did it matter? My prolonged silence made Shen Mengjiao increasingly uneasy. Deep down, she even thought that if I refused her this time, she would be willing to find a way to keep me by her side, so that from now on, I would only ever have eyes for her. After hearing everything she said, I was truly shaken. I never expected that she had liked me for so long. Along with my surprise, there was also a faint sense of being moved. It turned out that during all those days when I was desperately chasing after Lin Shuyue, there had always been someone standing quietly behind me, watching. I admit, I do like you a little, I said. But I've just gone through a failed marriage. I'm really not ready to step into a new relationship right away. Do you understand what I mean? Hearing me personally admit that I liked her, Shen Mengjiao was overjoyed, almost to the point of madness. As long as there was even the slightest bit of affection, she was confident she could turn it into a lifetime of deep love. It's okay. As long as you like me, even just a little, you only need to take one step, and I'll take the other 99. At that moment, my phone suddenly began vibrating nonstop in my pocket. The screen showed a series of missed calls from an unknown number. I glanced at it briefly before decisively turning the phone off. Elsewhere, Lin Shuyue realized that she was no longer someone important in my life. An uncomfortable feeling lingered in her chest, growing stronger all the way until she returned home. Even after lying in bed, her mind couldn't stop replaying the image of me from that afternoon's unexpected encounter. She suddenly realized how different I was now compared to when I had been by her side. Even though she didn't want to admit it, the truth was clear. I had become better, more radiant, more confident, and far more attractive than before. Thinking back to earlier, she had called me more than a dozen times, yet hadn't been able to reach me once. The frustration inside her only deepened, and my presence consumed her thoughts throughout the entire night. Even while she was with Song Jingyan, her mind kept circling back to images of me and Shen Mengjiao. And even Song Jingyan himself couldn't stop thinking about Shen Mengjiao. Her presence and aura were far from ordinary. Compared to Lin Shuyue, she even surpassed her in several ways. Irritated, he thought to himself, how could someone he had once defeated end up with someone even more outstanding than the person he himself had? Both of them were so preoccupied thinking about someone else that neither noticed the indifference and lack of attention they were receiving from each other. In complete contrast, the atmosphere between Shen Mengjiao and me was now filled with the soft, glowing bubbles of a love just beginning to bloom. But when I got home, I suddenly realized something. I had never told her about my divorce, so how did she know? I had always believed that if you had doubts, you should ask directly rather than let wild guesses linger in your mind. So I immediately called her. Yutian, what's wrong? Her voice was bright and cheerful when she picked up. I never told you about my divorce. How did you know? I asked straightforwardly without beating around the bush. Shen Mengjiao, who had thought she had successfully kept it hidden, suddenly felt a little guilty. Wait for me a moment. I'll come over. While waiting, I didn't just sit around. I quickly tidied up the room a bit. After all, we had just acknowledged our relationship. Maintaining a good impression still mattered. Before long, I heard a gentle knock on the door. I opened it and let Shen Mengjiao in, quietly waiting for her explanation. I'm sorry, Yutian. The first day I met you here, you seemed so lonely and down. I was worried, So I asked around and happened to hear about your divorce. Please don't be mad at me, okay?" She looked at me with sparkling eyes, her tone slightly coquettish, something she had just learned online, hoping it would work. "I'm not mad at you." I chuckled softly. "I just suddenly realized I never told you about it." Seeing her deliberately pitiful expression, I wasn't angry at all. In fact, I found her incredibly endearing. "I know you just got divorced. I also know it might seem like I'm taking advantage of the situation, but I really do like you." Sensing what I was about to say, Shen Mengjiao quickly interrupted me. She hated it when I put myself down like that. In my eyes, you've always been the most wonderful person. On this path of love, I have nothing and know nothing. Maybe I'm not the first passenger on your emotional journey, but to me, you are the only one, the most important person in my life. No matter what kind of life you live in the future, I want to share it with you. Wherever you go, I'll always stay by your side. Even if one day you tell me yourself that you don't love me anymore and don't need me, it still won't be enough to separate us. Hearing such a heartfelt confession from her once again, I couldn't help but feel deeply shaken. Here is the English translation of your passage. Facing such intense and overwhelming feelings, who could possibly remain indifferent? So I no longer wanted to dwell on the fact that she had secretly looked into my past. Instead, I gently reached out and pulled her into my arms, using my actions to express my true feelings. On those long, sleepless nights, every sheep Tam Mong Jiao had tried to count in her mind had all quietly turned into my figure. The next morning, when she woke up and recalled what had happened the night before, how we had finally confessed our feelings to each other, her face lit up with pure happiness. She eagerly got out of bed, unable to wait even a moment to see me. But the moment she opened the door, she saw me already standing there, holding a bouquet of pure white gardenias. Gardenias symbolize eternal love, devotion, and a promise to protect someone for a lifetime. Their gentle fragrance spread softly in the air, yet in her eyes, even the most beautiful flowers could not compare to my smile. Meng Jiao. Good morning. I thought about it for a long time last night. I can't immediately return your love in full, but once I've decided to be with you, I'll do my best to give you all my heart, so that you can always feel a love equal to yours. I hope that from now on we can stay together, holding hands and walking through life side by side. I had prepared these words all morning, and now I stood there nervously, waiting for her response. But after waiting for a while, she still said nothing. I lifted my head slightly, both curious and anxious, looking at her. Only then did I notice her eyes were red, as if she was about to cry. For a moment, I panicked, unsure of what to say to comfort her. But before I could think further, Tam Mong Jiao suddenly rushed forward and tightly embraced me. Her voice trembled with emotion, yet was filled with happiness. "Thank you for this bouquet. What should I do? I feel like I love you even more today than I did yesterday." The moment she opened the door early that morning and saw me standing there with those white gardenias, she felt as if everything was unreal, like a dream she could hardly believe. Here is the English translation of your passage. Only when she truly held me tightly did that unreal feeling begin to fade, replaced instead by an overwhelming sense of warmth and reality. I decided to end my journey and stay by Tam Mong Jiao's side, accompanying her while she recovered. By the time we returned to Beijing, winter had already arrived. The city had just gone through a heavy snowfall. Even before the snow came, this ancient yet magnificent city had already been filled with waves of biting cold. The sky was overcast, as if covered by a vast, pale gray curtain, gloomy, yet strangely quiet. The roadside trees trembled under the freezing wind. Their bare, withered branches stood stark against the cold, dim sky. A few remaining leaves spun weakly in the wind before helplessly falling to the ground. The moment I stepped out of the airport, a bone-chilling gust of wind swept over me, raising goosebumps all over my body. Fortunately, that exposure to the cold didn't last long. In fact, I've always loved snow. Having been born and raised in the South, I still vividly remember the first time I saw heavy snowfall during my first year in Beijing for university. Back then, my heart was filled with a strange, indescribable emotion. It felt as if someone had pressed a mute button on the entire world. Only the soft sound of falling snow remained. Snowflakes drifted and intertwined in the air, forming a dreamy white curtain between heaven and earth. The ground was blanketed in soft, pure white, like a thick carpet. The tree branches seemed to be wrapped in shimmering silver, transforming into jade-like limbs. The ancient rooftops, covered in snow, appeared even more solemn, as if time itself had reversed, pulling people back into a distant past. Pedestrians hurried along, tightening their coats as if everyone was eager to escape the biting cold of this harsh winter day. Since that chance encounter with us in Lijiang, the lives of Lam Thu Nguyet and Tong Kan Nien had begun to change noticeably. But here is the same paragraph with names fully converted into natural English names. Lily Lin was no longer doting on Jason's song unconditionally as she once had. Ever since that night at the party, when he threw another tantrum and demanded comfort, she had instinctively snapped, "Can you stop being so stubborn? Why can't you be as understanding as Ethan Yu?" It was as if that moment flipped an invisible switch. From then on, she began to find him increasingly unsatisfactory, unconsciously comparing him to Ethan whenever something displeased her. In the past, whenever she went on business trips, Ethan would carefully prepare daily necessities and snacks for her and constantly check in to see if she was tired. Jason, on the other hand, never helped her pack and even insisted she bring along piles of luxury shoes, making her feel more like a high-end errand runner than a partner. Once he realized she no longer pampered him as before, Jason also dropped his refined facade, frequently comparing her current attitude to the past and feeling that she no longer cherished him now that she had won him. The tension between them quietly grew deeper over time. At that point, Hannah Zia suddenly reappeared and began approaching Jason again, conveniently filling the void left by Lily's indifference. However, since she couldn't provide the affluent lifestyle he desired, their relationship remained secret. Meanwhile, Lily, no longer paying much attention to him, failed to notice anything unusual and even thought he had become more well-behaved. Ever since hearing that Ethan had returned, she had almost completely stopped caring about Jason. As for him, at the moment he heard the news, he was reminded of the humiliation he suffered in Lijiang, especially as Lily kept comparing him to Ethan. It was ironic. She had once been deeply infatuated with him, yet now she treated him with cold indifference. Here is a polished English translation with natural English names, written as one complete paragraph. So the moment I returned, Jason's song immediately wanted me to pay the price. He deliberately asked our former class president to organize a college reunion. I had no intention of attending and certainly didn't want anything more to do with him, but the class president kept persuading me, making it hard to refuse, so I reluctantly agreed. By the time I arrived, most people were already there, yet Jason was nowhere to be seen. I was about to find a seat with a few familiar friends when the class president spotted me and loudly asked, "I heard you and Lily Lin got divorced. Is that true or just a rumor?" The lively room instantly fell silent. I saw no reason to hide it and answered directly, "Yes, we're divorced. Might as well make it clear now to avoid trouble later." Someone immediately questioned, "How could you let someone as outstanding as Lily go?" I replied calmly, "We just weren't compatible." I had no desire to explain further. Then another voice cut in. "I heard Lily and Jason are together now. Is that why?" Hearing this, the class president quickly tried to change the subject, but the conversation had already shifted. Everyone began talking about how Lily had always been deeply attached to Jason. "Of course," someone chimed in. "Oh, everyone knows how she feels about him. We all saw it back then. Honestly, you were never really on her level." Another added, "If Jason hadn't gone out of his way to bring you two together, you probably wouldn't even have had a chance with her, let alone marry her. To be frank, you should be thanking him." The room filled with lively discussion about how well Lily had treated Jason over the years. In their eyes, there was nothing wrong with a married woman pouring all her attention into her childhood sweetheart. They completely ignored my feelings, the man who had once been her lawful husband, and continued pointing out all the ways I fell short, how I was inferior to Jason in every aspect. Here is a polished English translation with natural English names, written as one complete paragraph. Their words were like sharp knives. I thrown out without hesitation, without the slightest concern for how deeply they might hurt me. A few people felt the topic should be dropped, but their voices were too soft, completely drowned out by the noisy discussion. Seeing my expression grow increasingly grim, the class president chuckled lightly and teased, "What's wrong, Ethan? You're not upset, are you? We're not making things up. It's all the truth. Don't be so sensitive." What was supposed to be an ordinary reunion had suddenly turned into a direct attack on me. If I still couldn't see the true purpose of this gathering, then I would really be a fool. I stood up with a cold expression, about to leave, when at that moment Jason's song walked in from outside, greeting everyone with a bright smile. "Sorry I'm late." The class president immediately played along. "Jason!" A perfect timing. "We were just talking about Ethan and Lily Lynn." "Oh, is that so?" Jason glanced at me and deliberately put on an apologetic tone. "Ethan, don't blame me for what happened, okay?" "Why would I blame you?" I replied coldly. He smiled faintly. "Honestly, it's not really my fault. After I returned to the country, Lily treated me the same as before. You were the one who got jealous and insisted on a divorce, even putting all the blame on me. To be honest, I do feel a bit guilty toward you. But what can I do? Lily has only ever loved me. She never loved you." His voice was gentle, yet every word cut into me like a blade. Around us, people whispered, "Imagine being married for years and still not being loved. That's really pitiful." I took a deep breath and looked at Jason coldly. If your purpose today is just to say these things to me, then I'm afraid you've wasted your time. To me now, Lily Lynn is nothing more than an ex-wife, a familiar stranger at best. Here is a polished English translation with natural English names, written as one complete paragraph. "Ethan, I genuinely want to resolve the conflict between us," Jason's song said, still putting on an innocent expression as he looked at me with feigned regret. I glanced around at those familiar faces, yet in that moment, they all felt strangely distant. Were they really so easily influenced by others? I had no intention of explaining anything further and turned coldly to leave the room. Just as I stepped outside to wait for Sophia Shen, Jason hurried after me. Leaning close to my ear, he whispered maliciously, "Ethan, I'll make sure you can never hold your head up in front of your friends again." I let out a cold laugh, looking at him with clear disdain. "You think too highly of yourself." At that exact moment, Sophia drove up to pick me up. She cast a cold glance at everyone around us and said icily, "Looks like you've all been far too idle lately. From now on, I don't want to see any of you appearing in any company or industry under the Shen Group." Without waiting for a response, she grabbed my hand and pulled me into the car, driving away immediately. The group stood there in shock, only then realizing they had provoked someone they absolutely could not afford to offend. Some of them even received termination emails on the spot, jumping up in anger. They wanted to blame Jason, but seeing Lily Lynn standing beside him, another untouchable figure, they could only swallow their frustration and accept their misfortune. When powerful people clash, it's always the small ones who suffer. Others soon had their business contracts canceled as partners tried to avoid being dragged into the trouble. By the time everyone got home, group chats were flooded with discussions about Jason's foolish move that had backfired spectacularly. His reputation completely collapsed. Previously, many had already been dissatisfied when he publicly confessed to Lily right after her divorce. But since Lily had been so devoted to him, most people still believed he was just an innocent party caught in the situation. This time, however, everything was reversed. The incident was quickly exposed by an anonymous account on social media, sparking a wave of intense criticism. No one stood by Jason anymore. Everyone turned against him at once. Jai la bandich tieng an jai ju tun hien va mut makwa joan van. It takes two hands to clap. After all, a third party will always remain just that, a third party. When Song Jingnian saw those comments, he was so furious that he smashed the entire room to pieces. Meanwhile, Lin Shuyue was overwhelmed, struggling to deal with the tangled mess of work. Partners with ongoing contracts began deliberately stalling and making things difficult at every turn. Whenever questioned, they only gave vague answers, saying she had offended someone she shouldn't have. As for contracts that were about to expire and were meant to be renewed, they suddenly shifted their cooperation to rival companies. She was so busy she couldn't even go home, staying at the company day and night. During this time, Song Jingnian couldn't get in touch with Lin Shuyue, but he had Jia Ruyan by his side, gently comforting him. Already troubled, he quickly gave in to her soothing presence. In a drunken haze, the two of them crossed the line. After that, Song Jingnian grew increasingly brazen, openly going out with Jia Ruyan, traveling together, watching movies, enjoying themselves without the slightest restraint. He even shamelessly brought her home, continuing their ambiguous relationship. Seeing the constant stream of transaction notifications on her phone, Lin Shuyue's expression darkened. Every expense Song Jingnian made was charged to the supplementary card she had given him. Already suffocating under the pressure at work, she was instantly filled with anger. It was one thing that Song Jingnian no longer cared about her, but now, with her company in crisis, he was still indulging himself as if nothing had happened. No matter how overwhelming her workload was, Lin Shuyue finally decided to drop everything and go straight to Song Jingnian's house. The moment she opened the door, the scene before her left her completely frozen. Jai la bandich tieng an jai ju, tun hien va muot ma. Clothes were scattered all over the floor, and from the bedroom came vivid, unmistakable sounds of a man and a woman in the midst of passion. Lin Shuyue couldn't believe her eyes. She immediately strode toward the bedroom and pushed the door open. Before her was the sight of Song Jingnian and Xia Ruyan entangled together, still not stopping even after being discovered. Startled by Lin Shuyue's sudden appearance, Song Jingnian panicked and hurriedly grabbed a blanket to cover himself. However, in his flustered state, he found himself unable to pull away from Xia Ruyan. Faced with such a scene, Lin Shuyu's blood pressure spiked in rage. She coughed up blood and fainted on the spot. 2 ambulances arrived. One took Lin Shuyue away, while the other carried Song Jingyan and Xia Ruyan. Unable to get dressed, they had no choice but to be wrapped up by medical staff and taken away. Being caught in the act wasn't unusual, but being caught while physically stuck together was truly rare. Everyone present turned their eyes toward them. Some onlookers even recorded videos and posted them online. As soon as the footage surfaced, social media exploded. Netizens rushed to create memes, while those who knew them began revealing inside details. Even the long-rumored story of a childhood sweetheart crossing boundaries to become a third party, once only whispered about, was dragged into the spotlight. Old videos from that birthday party resurfaced as well, revealing that the man at the center of today's scandal was the same one who had once shamelessly taken his classmate's wife. Now, he had been exposed for cheating and caught in bed by that very childhood sweetheart. No one knew whether to laugh at Lin Shuyue for getting what she deserved or to pity her for the sheer humiliation she had suffered. Jai la bandich tieng and jai ju, tu nien va muot ma. At the hospital, the 3 of them were still unaware of everything that had happened online. After regaining consciousness, Lin Shuyue immediately froze Song Jingyan's supplementary card and cut off all financial support to the Song family. She also instructed her assistant to arrange for Song Jingyan to move out of the luxury apartment she had previously rented for him. Everything was handled through intermediaries. She refused to see him in person from beginning to end. The Song family had already been on the brink of collapse due to a series of poor decisions made by Song Jingyan's father. Losing Lin Shuyu's backing now was no different from a declaration of bankruptcy. Song Jingyan had once believed that as long as he got rid of me, he could secure Lin Shuyu completely. But now, driven out of the apartment and forced to live in a shabby place, even Xia Ruyan had abandoned him. She had only approached him in the first place to cling to a source of wealth. Now that the money was gone, there was no reason for her to stay. Unwilling to accept this outcome, Song Jingyan tried every possible way to approach Lin Shuyue, but each time he appeared, he was immediately stopped by bodyguards. Meanwhile, Lin Shuyu herself was far from stable. Her competitors had begun launching a full-scale attack on her company. As a newcomer in the industry, she was completely unable to withstand the pressure from long-established families. On top of that, Song Jingyan's betrayal filled her with anger. In her unstable state of mind, she ended up making several poor decisions. Jai la bandich tieng an jai ju, tun hien va lien mach. The company, already on the verge of collapse, became even more fractured until there was no way to save it. When it became certain that bankruptcy was inevitable, Lin Shuyue, whose health had already been fragile and who had only recently been hospitalized, couldn't withstand the shock. Overwhelmed with rage, she vomited blood right in her office and was rushed into the emergency room once again. By the time she regained consciousness, everything had already fallen apart. The company had begun bankruptcy proceedings. All assets, her house, cars, bank accounts, were frozen, leaving her with nowhere to go. In the end, she thought of me again. Back then, I had treated her so well, yet she never knew how to cherish it. With just a snap of Song Jingyan's fingers, she had rushed toward him like a dog. Now that everything had collapsed, she refused to admit her own mistakes and instead placed all the blame on Song Jingyan. Lin Shuyue took the initiative to find him and settle the score. Cornered with no way out, Song Jingyan turned back to the women he once kept around him. But aside from a few who didn't know the full story, no one respected him anymore, let alone help him maintain the luxurious lifestyle he once had. When he saw Lin Shuyue coming to find him, he thought she wanted to reconcile. Instead, she came to blame him for her bankruptcy. It didn't take long before the two of them erupted into a vicious argument, like dogs biting at each other. "You're useless, and you still dare to blame me? Did I force you to love me? Weren't you the one clinging to me while still unable to let go of Du Tian? You kept hinting to him that you still had feelings for him. If it weren't for you, he wouldn't have left you. I merely reached out my hand, and you were the one who threw yourself at me. And now you blame me for your betrayal? You're the one who hurt him." Jai la bandich tieng anjai ju, tun hien vagyao kam suk. Song Jingnian, after everything that's happened today, don't you feel even a shred of regret or guilt? Faced with his endless rambling, Lin Shuyue finally couldn't hold back and asked a question that even she found ridiculous. Regret? Guilt? Why should I feel that? Song Jingnian sneered. Lin Shuyue, you've been my childhood friend for so many years. Do you still not understand what kind of person I am? You believed everything I said? Don't tell me you couldn't tell how much of it was lies. I merely said out loud what you were already thinking deep down. You used my words to voice what you didn't dare admit yourself, then pretended it was all because of me. In the end, from beginning to end, you've only ever cared about yourself. Each word struck like a knife, cutting deep into her heart. Lin Shuyue was left completely speechless. In the end, she could only turn around and leave in silence. This time, something inside her truly collapsed. Even so, she still wanted to see me one last time, if only to say a single word of apology. However, every path leading to me had already been tightly guarded by Shen Mengjiao. She had arranged people everywhere, completely sealing Lin Shuyue out of my life. In the end, taking advantage of a momentary lapse by the bodyguards, Lin Shuyue desperately found an opportunity to sneak into the parking lot. The moment I appeared, she stepped forward and blocked my way. I looked at the person who had suddenly stopped me, and it took me a few seconds to recognize her as Lin Shuyue. The woman who was once proud and radiant like the moon now looked utterly worn down and miserable, so much so that it was hard for anyone to feel even a trace of sympathy. Jai la bandich tieng an jai ju tun hien va gyao kam sust. I frowned slightly and asked coldly, "What are you doing here?" Seeing that I truly felt nothing, without even the slightest flicker of emotion, Lin Shuyu's heart ached sharply. Her voice turned hoarse, her eyes reddened as if she might burst into tears at any moment. "I came to apologize to you. Back when we were together, it was my carelessness that caused you so much pain. Every time I lied and said I was going on a business trip, I felt guilty. That's why I asked my assistant to send you gifts on my behalf. I thought those things could somehow make up for my indifference, but I kept chasing after Song Jingnian's back, never once turning around to look at the person who had always been by my side. The way you loved me so deeply. I betrayed that love. If there's still a chance, please let me make it up to you. Let me return to your side. This time, I'll spend my whole life loving you. I'll rebuild everything again. You just need to trust me. This time, I will love only you." I stood there, listening to her regretful confession, and felt nothing but disgust. If she hadn't fallen into such a miserable state, betrayed by Song Jingnian and losing everything, would she even be saying these words now? She didn't truly want to love me. Or what she wanted was someone who would love her unconditionally, someone who would never leave. She had indeed loved Song Jingnian, but more than love, it was an obsession she couldn't let go of, a desire that only grew stronger because she couldn't have it. And once she finally got it, she quickly grew tired and wanted to return to me, the one she had once ignored completely. After thinking everything through, it felt as though a heavy weight had finally been lifted from my heart. People like her have no boundaries, no understanding of how to cherish sincerity. There's no reason for me to torment myself over someone like that. You really are a terrible person. Inside and out. Jai laban dich tieng an jai ju muot ma va tun hien. After saying that, I turned around coldly and drove away without a second thought. On the other side, Shen Mengjiao listened to the bodyguard's full report and let out a faint smile, casually twirling the pen in her hand, her gaze deep and calculating. Lin Shuyue thought she had taken advantage of a momentary lapse in security, but in truth, everything had been arranged by Shen Mengjiao, because I needed to meet her one last time in order to completely let go of the past. As for the current fate of Lin Shuyue and Song Jingnian, it had all been part of Shen Mengjiao's plan. She had long grown tired of having people like them lingering around me, not because they posed any real threat, but simply because they were annoyingly persistent. Recently, Song Jingnian has been clinging to some underworld boss and even planned to hire someone to sabotage Mr. Du's car. What a troublesome pest. Get in touch with their boss. Tell him I haven't seen him in a while and invite him to a meal. While you're at it, ask if his territory is short on people. As for Lin Shuyue, she's no longer of any value. Deal with her as well. At that moment, my voice came from outside. Mengjiao, I'm here to pick you up after work. Hearing my voice, Shen Mengjiao gestured for her assistant to leave, then smiled as she walked over and wrapped her arms around me. The exhaustion of the entire day seemed to melt away instantly. I really want to tie you up by my side so I can see you every day. Lately, you've been so busy with your new studio. We haven't gone on a proper date in a long time. Hearing her soft, slightly sulky tone, I felt a bit embarrassed. I know. That's why I came to pick you up today. Tonight, no work, just the two of us. Okay? Okay. Jai la bandichting an jai ju, tunyen va mutma. I'll let you off this time, she said with a light laugh. Tomorrow is the weekend. Let's go meet my parents, okay? They really want to see you. But I haven't prepared anything yet, I replied nervously. You don't need to be so tense, she comforted me gently. Just be yourself. I've been living alone all these years, so now that I finally have a boyfriend, of course they're curious. Hearing her reassurance, I felt much more at ease. Then after dinner, let's go pick out some gifts for your parents tomorrow. The next morning, after getting ready, I followed Shen Mengjiao to the old residence of the Shen family. As the villa gradually came into view through the car window, I couldn't help but feel nervous. Although I had been married before, this feeling was completely different from back then. Mengjiao, I've been divorced before. What if your parents don't like me? It's okay, she said softly, taking my hand to reassure me. I've already told them. They actually feel sorry for you because you were with the wrong person before. Everyone in my family is easygoing. You don't need to worry too much. Hearing her words, my heart gradually calmed down. As soon as we got out of the car in front of the Shen family villa, I saw a well-dressed middle-aged couple already standing there waiting. Duoi jai la bandich tieng and tun hien va huan chin qua juan bangui. Everyone wore kind smiles, their warm gazes making me even more nervous. Shen Mengjiao seemed to notice my tension and gently squeezed my hand before introducing me. Mom, Dad, this is Du Tian. I quickly nodded in greeting. Hello, Uncle. Hello, he replied warmly. We weren't sure what you like, so we prepared a few small gifts. I hope you don't mind. You coming is already more than enough. There's no need for gifts, he said with a hearty laugh. Your grandparents are waiting in the living room. They wanted to come out to greet you earlier, but they're older now, so we didn't let them. I hope you don't mind. Shen's father smiled brightly. Mom, Dad, this is Du Tian, Mengjiao's boyfriend. She always talks about him. The elders in the family were also very welcoming, greeting me warmly and enthusiastically with kind words. That afternoon, I spent a pleasant and warm time together with the Shen family. Before leaving, Shen Mengjiao's mother personally handed me a small gift bag. This is just a small token from our family. Please accept it. I originally wanted to refuse, but thinking about etiquette between elders and juniors, I finally accepted it. On the way back, Shen Mengjiao and I sat in the back seat together and curiously opened the gift bag. Inside was a simple antique-style wooden box. When I opened it, I saw a finely carved jade pendant. Isn't this a bit too valuable? I froze, staring at the item in my hand. The jade emitted a clear, luminous glow, its patterns finely carved, clearly no ordinary object. It's the family heirloom jade pendant of our Shen family, Shen Mengjiao said with a smile. I told you my family really likes you. A gift like this, you really can't refuse it. Just as I was about to put it away and return it, she tilted her head slightly and said, my half-joking and half-serious, it's going to be yours sooner or later anyway, or, are you not planning to give me a proper status? I couldn't help laughing at her expression, which was somewhere between teasing and sincerity. I said nothing more and continued looking through the rest of the gifts. A black, unlimited credit card, a transfer contract for ownership of an entire office building in the city center. One item after another, the value kept increasing. I looked at them, feeling deeply moved. The Shen family wasn't merely being polite, they truly treated me as one of their own. That evening, Shen Mengjiao took me to a high-end restaurant with a European artistic style. Warm, golden lighting filled the space, making the entire room feel soft and gentle. Carefully selected paintings hung on the walls, each one carrying a strong sense of artistry. The soft music of Dian Yu Yang, a familiar melody, drifted gently through the air. A calm, stream-like ambience seemed to flow around us. On the white tablecloth, the cutlery was arranged neatly. In the center, a vase of blooming red roses stood upright, releasing a faint, soothing fragrance. We sat down at the table, and exquisite dishes were served one after another. Shen Mengjiao carefully picked food for me, while softly recounting every small moment since the day we first met. Beautiful memories unfolded like slow-motion film, scene after scene becoming clearer in my mind. Just as I was smiling, lost in those recollections, the restaurant's music suddenly shifted. It was my favorite piece. The lights dimmed slightly, and a gentle spotlight fell directly on Shen Mengjiao. She stood up and walked slowly toward me. Her eyes shimmered softly, carrying a deep, unwavering gaze as if she wanted to draw me completely into her world. "Dutian," she said, "from the moment I met you, I knew you were the person I had been searching for all my life. Everything about you makes me unable to look away. Every day by your side is happiness to me. I want to walk with you through all the years ahead, sharing every joy and sorrow in this life. Will you marry me and give me a place to rely on forever?" The entire restaurant suddenly fell silent. All eyes turned toward us. A few people began to clap in congratulations. I nodded slightly, my voice trembling but firm. "I agree." Shen Mengjiao immediately threw herself into my arms. She whispered softly, "I love you." "Oh, that will never change." Bright fireworks exploded outside the window. Cheers and applause filled the restaurant, blending into a wave of celebration. Both of us smiled in pure happiness, holding each other tightly. That night, under the glowing fireworks, amid the sound of applause and an atmosphere overflowing with warmth and love, our story of love reached a perfect ending, while also officially opening a new chapter in our lives. Thank you everyone for watching this video from Fox. If there's any story you like that hasn't been fully covered yet, feel free to leave a comment below and let Fox know. Here is the QR code to support Fox, and here is the story finding group where we can help each other discover titles. Please check the description for more details. See you in Fox's next video.